Welcome to the Bear Talk, your go-to Chicago Bears podcast, where a father and son break down all things Bears. From Soldier Field to Sunday showdowns, I'm your host here, Dylan Weaver, and as always, joined here by my dad. How you doing, Dad?
I'm doing great. It's the divisional round. The Bears are in it. The Rams are coming to town, and it's going to be the coldest game of the weekend. And I think the Bears have a chance.
The Bears definitely have a chance. I mean, they're never out of any game. It's been the message all year. You watched the game last week, they're never out of any game. But yeah, the weather in Chicago this week, I was in it last week. It was about 13 degrees, I think, at kickoff. This one's supposed to be around 15, but then you add in the wind chill, it'll probably be in the negatives. So definitely be a cold one. Matt Stafford's already saying he's wearing a scuba suit tomorrow, and I'm being actually serious when I say that. But it'll be a cold one. Definitely also helps the Rams having to travel all the way across the country to come play the Bears. This is why that 2 seed was so important. Not that the Bears locked it up for us, but thankfully the Commanders took care of business with the Eagles, who are no longer in the playoffs, and the Bears have some home field advantage here for a second time in a row. But big matchup this week in the divisional round. The Bears are taking on, as you said, obviously the Rams, and it's going to be another good one. I think we're in for. I mean, you got the MVP more than likely in the NFL taking on probably, as what we can say, a future MVP in the NFL. It's only a matter of time. It's going to be a good one, man. I'm super excited for it, but I think it's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but the moment the matchup was set last week, I went into the lab, right, and I started researching the 85 NFC Championship game where the Rams played the Bears. Now, granted, that was 40 years ago, totally two different teams. But we played the Rams last year in week 4 in Chicago, and we beat them with a dysfunctional coaching staff, a line that was porous as Swiss cheese. And this is a different team. I don't care what you say about Matt Stafford being, the probable MVP of the league as far as, offensive. You got Davante Adams. I know you got Puka Nacua, which he's a phenomenal player. But we beat them last year, and it's the same players on defense. There isn't many changes on defense for the Bears from last year to this year, other than like CJGJ and some of those things. But obviously the coaching staff's a little bit different. So if an Eberflus-led defense can beat Matt Stafford and the Rams from last year, we got Ben Johnson. Ben Big Johnson.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to take care of it.
Just as much as the Bears are a different team, the Rams are a different team. I mean, you got Davante Adams now too, who
he's been on 7 teams.
He's been elite this year, especially in the red zone.
Especially in a dome.
I will say, though, it is interesting. I do think receivers like Puka Nacua and Davante Adams actually help the Bears, because the problem that the Bears cornerbacks have been dealing with this year is speed receivers. You're talking about the St. Browns, the Jameson Williams, those types of receivers that can burn you with speed, the Christian Watsons, stuff
Not
like
the
that.
AJ Browns,
but I was about to say the route runners that are more technical with their routes, those guys haven't been the biggest of problems for the Bears, which I do think is a huge underlying story in this. Yes, Puka Nacua, like you said, he is an elite receiver. Davante Adams is an elite receiver, but the Bears cornerbacks problem has been people that are fast and can create separation with them, especially due with our defensive line not really being able to, create separation. So it will really be interesting to see how they do. Obviously, I still think Davante Adams and Puka Nacua are going to make their plays. That's who they are. They're playmakers. But I do think it helps people like Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, who are, very great football players. But, as we know, they haven't been 100%. They don't look 100%. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up with more of these technical route runners, not guys that are going to burn you with speed. But other than that, though, this Rams team is different. They got a great front five on their defensive line, but their secondary and their linebackers that's where the Bears can take advantage. I mean, you saw it last week. I didn't get to watch much of the game, but when you have people like Jalen Coker and, Tremble from the Panthers taking advantage, then you just got to look at the Bears weapons. I mean, we've talked about it last post game show. Colston Loveland, he's averaging pretty much 100 yards a game the past month. You got Roma Dunze, who, still dealing with that foot injury, but can create plays. You got DJ Moore. You got Cole Kmet. You got Swift and Kyle Monangai. Like, there's going to be a lot of, even with the weather being up to 20 to 30 mile per hour winds, Caleb has shown time and time again he can cut the ball through that wind. So I think there's plenty of ways this Bears team can take advantage of the Rams secondary. And same thing, I think we're about to have a repeat of what happened in San Fran. It's going to be one of those games that I think both offenses are going to score a lot of points, and it's going to come down to, who has the ball last. I really do think that's what it's going to come down to. Stafford was not playing at this level last year. He is playing probably arguably his best season of his career, kind of like what Tom Brady did. Well, he got late in his career, and all of a sudden, we already knew Tom Brady was the GOAT, but you didn't think he was going to be putting up numbers that late in his career, and here he was, and Stafford's kind of doing the same thing. I mean, the next closest person in touchdowns to him is like over a dozen away. Like, he's up to like 45 something touchdowns on the year, only 8 interceptions. But when he does throw interceptions, I will say they come in bunches. He had a couple against Carolina in the first matchup. I think he had one last week against the Falcons. He had a couple as well. So there's been, when he does throw these picks, they do come in bunches. And the Bears team, they've been kind of quiet. We usually get some turnovers. We haven't really had any in the past couple games, so it'll be interesting to see if the Bears are able to pick a couple apart from Stafford. But at the same time, too, you can't let Stafford's eyes deceive you. He's notorious for that no-look pass that he does where he'll manipulate defenders with his eyes, and next thing you know, the ball is going the complete other direction. But I think we're in for a really good matchup. Both offenses, I think, can really get into it. But let's talk about the weather, because it's been a huge storyline this week in the game that, the Rams, they're literally practicing in 70 and 80 degree weather. They're about to it's about to be an 80 degree difference. And there's no way you can physically prepare for that. And Cali, I know there was like talks about them trying to turn on as much AC as possible in SoFi. Like, come on, you're not getting a feel of Chicago wind off the lakefront that is going to be negative degree weather. So it is going to be people that want to downplay it. Yeah, Stafford is from the NFC North. They bring up the Eagles game last year in the snow that they played in. But the Eagles game, if you remember, it was like still in the 30s, and it was, there was a bunch of snow, but this isn't wind chill coming off Lake Michigan in negative degree weather. It's a huge difference. And guess what? Both of their lowest scoring or the lowest weather games they played in this year were 35 and 40 degrees. And guess what? They lost both of them. And one, yes, to the Panthers, who was a playoff team, but they lost another one to the Falcons, who were not a great football team this year. So there is some truth to that. I do feel like it's going to matter early in the game when they're trying to adjust. Eventually, I think they'll get used to it because you eventually get out in the elements, and that's where the Bears have to take advantage. But as we do know, this Bears team, they do not get off to good starts. They don't. So if the Bears want to capitalize, I think they're really going to have to get off to a strong start to be able to take advantage of the weather, because early on, the Rams are going to be adjusting to it pretty often.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do recall back, though, I don't know, 33 episodes ago when you were talking about how you just want a dome and it's a level playing field and the best product on the field. But this week, I think you're pretty excited that we got a sunny California team coming to the Midwest to play outside in the elements with snow, in night games, time zone changes. Everything just stacks up for the Bears. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm okay with Soldier Field. And quit talking about Indiana. We're not moving the team over the border.
It actually looks. We're not going to talk about the stadium. That's a post after the season's over talk. But I mean, it actually looks like it's pretty close to happening. But
just keep it where it's at.
We'll leave it where it's at. But I will. You're right. I've said plenty of times. I still I think this is in the Bears' advantage, but just overall, when you watch football, it is so much better when it's neutral elements and you're going to get the best of both teams. However, in this scenario, yeah, it's probably going to help. It's going to help the Bears out quite a bit. And people that are downplaying it, you see it on Twitter all week. They're downplaying like this is
of course.
this. It's not going to decide the outcome of the game. I'm not going to say that, but it is. This weather is going to be a big factor in the game. Like it's not the end all be all, but it is a huge thing, especially like I said, it was 80 degrees where they were practicing this week. That is 80-degree difference. They're not going to be able to, even though they got here today and they got off, I'm sure the first thing they did, they got off that plane and they're like, oh my God, like it's a culture shock. And we can probably attest to it the most. We used to live up there, and when you lived up there, it really doesn't feel that cold because you're used to it. We went back for Thanksgiving a year or two later once we lived there. And I remember we weren't even in Illinois yet. We stopped at Ohio to fill up in gas and the wind hit our face. And we are like, what in the world? Like, and being up there last week, even though I had on about a dozen layers, it is a whole different type of wind. Whatever that temperature says, it feels like 15 to 20 degrees less than that. It's just a different type of feel up there that you don't know unless you live in it every single day. And that's where the Bears have the advantage. Ben Johnson brought it up that he doesn't bring heaters out to the practice field. He says you guys are going to practice in this without heaters because that's what it's going to feel like at the game. And there was a story this week, like veterans like Kevin Byard were complaining to Ben Johnson, like, what the heck do you mean? We need heaters out here. And the players have openly admitted now they're starting to thank Ben Johnson for it because as much as it sucks, it prepares them for what they're about to go play in. And it makes it better too. He doesn't have heaters, at least in the games. Those sidelines are heated to the max. Like they're warm. They got, when you sit on your seat when the winter and you got the seat warmers on, they have all that over there and some. So Ben Johnson does it the right way. He prepares them for this. So the Bears definitely have that advantage going into the game. That is there's no argument against it. It's an advantage.
Yep.
And, it was interesting. I thought too, maybe the Rams, you hear he's good buddies with Matt LaFleur. I'm surprised the Rams didn't offer to come up to their facility and at least get some type of practice in it, even if it was a day or two, to kind of get acclimated as best they could. But they're coming in, and in other words, raw. Like they're going to be out there and it's going to be rough for them. So they're going to have to adapt, and we'll see how many of them try to play the big man mentality, tough guy with no shirts on during warmups. Because you see a lot of away teams do that when they come to these colder parts that aren't used to it. They'll try to tough guy it and show, the cold don't bother us. They'll be out there with no shirts, and then they start looking like idiots because then their skin starts burning from that wind.
Yeah. Hey, I hate to get ahead of ourselves, and I know we're talking about the divisional round game here. However, Sam Darnold's a little injured in the obliques. San Fran's got to go play in Seattle. If San Fran wins and we happen to win today, where does San Fran and the Bears have to play?
In Chicago. And I'll tell you, if it does happen,
San
Fran isn't hanging 40 points on our head again in Chicago.
All I'm going to say is I do recall a San Fran team that came to town a few years ago and couldn't even handle rain. What are they going to do at the end of January? But I got ahead of myself. I just wanted to clarify to make sure that was the route that this would go down. Should all those things happen, which tomorrow night.
Yeah. It'll be interesting nonetheless to see what really happens. But let's not jump ahead.
Let's get into
talk about that after the game.
Hey,
but
you know what? We need 10.
10 what?
10 subscribers to hit 100 on the season. So
that is a good shout out. So before we hop into it, if you are new here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We just started this year and it's been a lot of fun. I think our most show, we're up to like 650 views. It's been a lot of fun, but we are 10 subscribers off of 100. We had a huge jump this week in our past episode, which was cool to see. So we are going to need all the help we can get. Hopefully, if this Bears season continues, hopefully hit 100 before the end of the season, before we roll into some postseason coverage stuff. But let's hop into it like we always do on our pregame shows with the injury report. Pretty basic for both teams. The one player that's going to be out for the Bears is Nick McLeod. He is dealing with a groin injury, which he is our nickel cornerback, but we just got CJ Gardner-Johnson back, so really not that big of a miss unless CJ Gardner-Johnson or Kyler Gordon go down. Then we can run into some trouble. The two people questionable for the Bears are Jalen Reeves-Maybin, which is a linebacker we just picked up a couple weeks ago. He was dealing with a back injury. He is questionable. And then Rome Odunze with the foot, he's listed as questionable. He's going to play. He's already said it this week. He's going to go out there. It's do or die. It's really, these players are going to tough it out. You'll see it from every team in the playoffs. If they can go, even if it's 50%, they're going to go, especially when you're talking about X factor players like Rome Odunze. But that's it. That's it for the Bears side of it. We are getting Joy Tryon Shoyinka, one of our edge rushers, back this week. And then obviously, as I said, CJ Gardner-Johnson is also going to be back. When you look at the Rams side, Poona Ford, one of their D tackles, really good run stopper. He's dealing with an elbow injury. His game status is unspecified. Like I said, probably going to play. Matt Stafford is unspecified as well with that right finger on his throwing hand. He's going to play as well. Those are pretty much it for the big guys. Everyone else, though, good to go. So both teams relatively as healthy as they can be this late in the season. Yeah. Nothing's really going to factor in here, but there is some injury news we do need to talk about that broke the timeline today. And we can talk about this, but this is kind of, I don't even know if you know where I'm about to go with this, because this literally just broke like an hour ago. But Ozzy Trapillo obviously went down with that patella injury last week. He's out for the season and probably will miss a majority of next season. However, there is talks right now that Joe Thuney is getting pushed out to left tackle tomorrow. And we can talk about this, but I'm just going to be honest. I don't like it.
No,
I'm going to trust Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. But my initial reaction of seeing this, granted, if you remember, Joe Thuney played left tackle the whole playoff push last year for the Chiefs, and he did pretty good until the Super Bowl wound up. But the thing is, we have Theo Benedict, who's played it before, which that just tells me that it's not good enough if they're going to really bump him out there. And the rumor is it's not even Luke Newman who's going to be coming in at left guard. It's this guy named Jackson or something. Just you take away your thoughts. I'll search it up real quick. I had the tweet pulled up, but I don't know where it went.
I would just say you keep all the players where they're at, except for, obviously we lost Trapillo. You throw Theo back out there. Worst case scenario, Braxton Jones is out there. But I think if you start moving players around on that line, that you're doing more damage than you are good, even though obviously you got to have that left tackle position in good position to protect Caleb. But I don't know how I feel about moving more players around just for one position. And then you got two people out of position, basically, at that point, in my opinion.
Yeah, so here it is. Credit to Brad Briggs. He's one of the not CHO, but one of the Chicago beat reporters. The Bears are looking to move Joe Thuney to left tackle with Ozzy Trapillo out. Their understanding for the left guard options start with Jordan McFadden, a guy that I think has played in the NFL quite a bit. Sounds like a familiar name, but he hasn't played at all for the Bears this season. That is my concern. Why mess around? Granted, like I said earlier in the show, this Rams defensive front is really powerful. They get to the quarterback, they flush him out. Jared Verse is a monster, and I think that's why they're doing it, because Jared Verse usually is on that left side of the offensive line. So maybe they're going to let Joe Thuney out there and go one-on-one with him. And my thing is, the only other thing I can take away from this, why Theo's not going to be out there, why they're not just putting Theo at left tackle like we've already seen this season, is because the Bears run a lot of 13 personnel and jumbo personnel, and Theo Benedict is that extra lineman that usually comes in. So that is probably the big reason they are doing it. And on top of it, we do know when Theo's in, he's a really good run blocker, but his passing is where he struggles. And with Jared Verse, they probably don't want Jared Verse in to singly come in and handily wreck the game. So I trust Ben Johnson. Just my initial thoughts, it definitely threw me off because all week we knew Trapillo was going to be out all last week. And he all of a sudden, a day before the game, pretty much, they're talking about Joe Thuney getting moved out to left tackle. Now, I'm assuming those beat reporters already been seeing that at practice all week. They just kind of had to wait to say something, which, if to be honest, I wish they didn't even say anything because now you're giving the Rams a heads up of who's going to be at left tackle when you could have come in and surprised them, and it could have really messed up with the Rams' defensive plan. Now they already have time to adjust a day and a half before the game because it just, like I said, it just broke earlier this morning about this. So it's like, if they were going to do it, why even announce it? And I'm sure Ben Johnson will be mad with the media for that. Like, just leave it how it is. There's no reason to, break news like that a day before the game and give the Rams that heads up. So it was a little weird, but I think, like I said, Joe Thuney, he played left tackle pretty much the majority of last season with the Chiefs because of their left tackle going out, and he did really good all season. It wasn't until he played that Eagles defense, which we all know and remember from last year was insane, and Joe Thuney did kind of get beat up. So I think it is fine, but it probably seems like this is going to be how it's going to be going forward, probably more than likely, to be honest. So it is a little strange, but we'll see what happens. I trust Ben Johnson. We'll see what happens, though. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? Maybe Joe Thuney raised his hand and said, "Hey, boss, I can play left tackle. Let's go out there and win this thing, and let's put us all in the best possible position to do this." And maybe it was a Thuney suggestion.
I'm sure. I mean, listen, he has plenty of it on tape. And like I just said, outside of one game last year, he was the same Joe Thuney he was at left guard. So his preferred position, obviously, though, is guard. That's where he dominates. But when you have Jared Verse out there, he's not an elite top end of the league pass rusher, but he is a dominant pass rusher. So it makes sense. Joe Thuney probably did step up, or the coaches said something to him. He's probably like, yeah, I can do that. Because we do know Theo Bennett, that is his weak part of his game is the pass protection. And the last thing we need is Caleb Williams to be getting blindsided and getting strip sacked or something because Theo Bennett just straight up gets bullied. So we'll see how Joe Thuney adapts to it. It'll be interesting to see if that's what really happens come, when the game starts tomorrow when we watch it. But just wanted to touch on that. But that's pretty much it on the injury side. Let's hop into this offensive side for the Bears. I think I talked about it pretty good in the beginning of the show, but I think the key is going to be the passing game in this matchup. Caleb's going to have to do what he's been doing, which wouldn't be anything surprising. Caleb's already been, his game just seems to keep on getting elevated week in, week out as the season comes down to a close. But this Rams secondary, they're going to give you plays down the field in favorable matchups. It's just about, one, can the O-line hold up against the pass rush? And then two, obviously, taking advantage of those opportunities. Can't be inaccurate tomorrow. And my other main thing for this offense is, I feel like I've been saying it for the past month, but you cannot start off slow. We have to figure out a way. There's only so many times where you're going to be able to come from behind. I know they've done it 8 times this year in the fourth quarter, but let's just not do that. Let's not, especially against this high-powered of an offense we're going against. Like, you got to rise to the occasion.
If the scoreboard operator would only put on the scoreboard as they're running out of the tunnel, 21-0, and just Ben Johnson says, "Hey, look up," as they're running out of the tunnel, then I would feel like they would get off to a very fast start. We talked about it last week, right? He threw for 200 yards in the fourth quarter. I think 18 points or 25 points, whatever it was. But
25, yeah.
I mean, you're right. We got to start fast. But, I will tell you, there's a lot of parallels between this 85 season. And one of the parallels was that 85 Bears team, regardless of their record that year, and they obviously clearly dominated other than that one loss to the Dolphins, They were known as a fourth quarter team. So take it for what it's worth. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The only problem, though, with the fourth quarter thing is this Rams team is a good fourth quarter team, too. Matthew Stafford and Caleb Williams lead the NFL in touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. I think Matthew Stafford leads, I believe I saw it earlier this week, with 16, and Caleb leads with 13, or is behind him with 13. So
yeah,
that's the problem. You can't, you are going to eventually run into a team that's not going to blow games and give them up. So
absolutely.
you
But
have to start fast.
Another thing I don't think anyone's talking about, if we all remember correctly, preseason Stafford suffered with a back injury. And there was like questions whether or not he was going to play and what's going on, what's really wrong with his back. I don't know about you. I know you're young, but I'm old. In cold weather like that, body parts tend to lock up, especially if you have problems with them. Potentially, that finger and that back issue he's had that really hasn't shown all season long, clearly by his numbers and his performance. But you get into 5-degree weather with snow, get hit a few times on that hard ground in Soldier Field, that back injury may get re-aggravated.
I mean, I agree, but the problem with that is we know our defensive line needs to get to the quarterback, which in the second half of that Packers game, they did start to finally get some pressure.
Yep.
And a funny thing, too, is on the Rams O-line, they got a guy named Coleman Shelton, who used to be on this Bears team last year and would absolutely get run over. So maybe Grady Jarrett, Jervon Dexter, you run him over, because when he was with us, he sucked. And all of a sudden this year, he's having a good season. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but that also could be due to Matt Eberflus and coaching. Maybe Coleman Shelton was a good center, and he just had a terrible O-line coach that the Bears did have here for like a decade.
Yeah, and don't forget, he's not faced an Austin Booker yet.
Well, he's not going to go against Austin Booker. He's a center.
No. I'm talking about Stafford.
Oh, all right. Relax.
Did you watch the tape on Austin Booker after last week's game? I know
Montez and him both had a good game. They really did.
But Booker was all over him. He was like a chihuahua, just in there.
Yeah. I mean, and now with you having CJ Gardner-Johnson back, there is multiple opportunities for Dennis Allen to have both CJ and Kyler Gordon on the field at the same time, blitz one, drop one back. So it could be a key thing. And the good news about Stafford, unlike most quarterbacks, Stafford isn't going to be using his legs and running. You don't really have to worry about the threat unless it's wide open. So he's going to be pretty stationary. Where he's at is where he's going to be. And these Bears players need to wrap up and bring him to the ground. And like you said, if they're able to do that in cold weather, it could tighten up. Something could go wrong. He pulls a calf, an oblique injury like Sam Darnold all of a sudden has this week. Like something like that could pop up. When you are older, you are more prone to those injuries. And then on top of it, just add in the weather. Like you're just set up for doom pretty much with that. So we'll see what happens. But really on the Bears offensive side of the ball, they need to take advantage in the passing game. I think that's where their bread and butter can be ran. But also this run game needs to start picking up a little bit too, because that's what ultimately opens up the passing game. And we've seen it. We've seen Swift and Monangai necessarily, not that it's their fault, but we just seen the run game in general slow down. We used to see some 9 and 10-yard runs a few times a game, and now we're not seeing them at all. Like we need a little bit more. And like you just said, it can't be 2 and 3 yards. We need some 5-yarders in there sprinkled in. But we'll see what happens when it comes to that. But I definitely think the run game needs to get going a little bit and kind of pick back up where it left off earlier in the season, because it's kind of this past month, it's kind of slowed down, but that also could just be due to Caleb starting to ball out. Like it really could. And then also like last week when you're down 21-3, there's really no more running. It's, hey, we got to go pass and catch up. So that's the other reason why we need to keep this game close, so we have options to do both and not just one of them. And then let's flip on over to the Bears defensive side of things. And like I said earlier in the show too, this Rams team, they are very good at both. They can run and pass. That's what opens up their offense. The Rams EPA run offense is actually ranked first in the league. So the Bears defense needs to start with stopping the run, which I think with DeMarco Jackson now being in, I think it's going to look a lot better. I love you, TJ Edwards. I wish you well, like we talked about in our postgame show, but this Bears fans have been asking, even not just fans, actual Bears reporters have been talking about why is DeMarco Jackson not getting reps. I mean, this kid was an NFC Defensive Player of the Week, and then TJ and Tremaine came back. Obviously, you're their highest paid players, so they get back to the starting roles, and we don't see DeMarco anymore. Then you look last week, defense is getting torched. All of a sudden, TJ Edwards goes down, DeMarco Jackson comes in, and the defense starts forcing 3 and outs. So it's honestly was a blessing in disguise. And obviously, we wish it didn't have to go down that way that it did, but I think they'll be able to shore up some of that run game because the Packers averaged 6. They only got 6 rushing yards in the second half on like 15 attempts. So I think this rushing defense will be a lot better than what we've been seeing the past month now with DeMarco Jackson back in there. But it ultimately comes down to, like I said, our secondary's got to step up. You got to force some plays on Stafford. Usually when he starts throwing some of these picks is where these Rams teams get in these games where they can lose them. So I think it's going to really come down to the D-line getting some pressure. And on top of that, our DB sticking with these receivers. I think Nahshon Wright is finally in a more favorable matchup. I would love to see him matched up against Davante Adams, because they throw to Davante Adams, they throw a lot of slants and they're going to throw him a lot of jump balls. And who's on this Bears defense has shown they're really good at jump balls? That's Nahshon Wright. That is one of the things he does tremendously. And on a route runner like Puka Nacua, who's not fast but really technique, I would love Jalen Johnson on him too, because Jalen Johnson knows what these type of routes they're going to run. The problem right now is he just can't keep up, which with Puka Nacua, he's not a fast guy, but he is really technical with his routes. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bears stack up. But this Bears defense, we're going to need to see that second half defense that we saw last week in a game like this, the whole game, because the Rams are going to score points, but it's about limiting those and maybe turning those into field goals instead of touchdowns.
Yeah, we definitely need a complete game out of all phases of this team this week, just to give us a hope and a prayer.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be special. And in my opinion, this Rams team is the best team left in the NFC. The Bears win this, I think there is a good chance you see this team in the Super Bowl. Now, whether they win or lose that's another question. But if they can get past this round, I really have a strong belief this Bears team will be in that Super Bowl. I think this Rams team is the strongest one left, where they got this high-powered offense and the defensive line that the Rams have, they can create havoc. With Seattle, great defense. I don't trust Sam Darnold. We saw it this week. All of a sudden, here comes an oblique injury. No, that's called a phantom injury, where if they lose the game, they're protecting him. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. But I really do think if the Bears can find a way to get past this Rams team, they are set up for a very good chance of being in that Super Bowl. And it would be the cherry on top of the season. It would be absolutely cinema. But first, I got to worry about the Rams. But before we get into our predictions and our MVPs of this game, there is one more phase of this game we got to talk about where the Bears have another clear, distinct advantage in special teams. This Rams special teams, they fired our special teams coordinator a couple weeks before the season ended because they gave up a punt return touchdown in the Seattle game where they were up 30-14 with 6 minutes left. Ultimately lost the game because of that. Last week, the Rams were going to punt. The Panthers block a punt and are in scoring position, give a touchdown up off of it. This Bears special teams can be able to make plenty of plays in this game, and they need to make the plays when they matter, because we start to see Devin Duvernay. He's starting to heat up too. These past couple of games, you're starting to see him get those 40-yard returns. I think there is a chance he breaks one in this game, and how sick would it be to be the opening kickoff, some Devin Hester type stuff. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but the Bears have a really strong advantage in special teams. this Rams special teams all year has cost them on several things. Their kicker got released. They do got a more better kicker he kicked, I think I want to say for Montana or something, really cold weather. He's used to that kind of stuff, but he's a new kicker in high stakes games. So I think the Bears have a really good advantage in special teams as well. It's just going to come down to, can the defense limit some of the touchdowns into field goals, and then can our offense get off to a hot start? And if they can do that, I feel like this Bears team is set up to be in that NFC Championship game, which, by the way, if they are there in that championship game, we will be there. We will find a way to be at that game.
I know you said the special teams, and I agree with you, but I thought you were going to pick the fans, because the fans played such a crucial role in last week's game that I think they really show up for this one. And, as a high-powered offensive Rams team on the road, in a cold environment, that those fans are really going to come through clutch to mess up maybe some cadences. We get some false starts, some different factors there. So don't count the fans out.
It will definitely be interesting to see. And being there at the game last week, I'll tell you right now, you're right. The fans play a huge factor in the game. They're loud. I'm sure they'll hand out some more towels again. And I'm telling you that NFL game experience felt like a college game, because with those towels shaking, they're playing, all these songs like "We Ready." Like, it feels like a college atmosphere when I was there last week. And now we're in the divisional round. It's only going to keep getting better by these fans. So
how much are tickets this weekend?
I'm pretty sure earlier in the week I looked, I paid $500 a ticket. They were up to $1,200 where I sat, the exact same spot.
And if they make it to the NFC Championship game, how much do you think those tickets are going to be?
Well, listen, I say this.
You better get some press passes.
Even if we don't go to the game, I think we should still go up in the city and do some tailgating, because I'm telling you right now, it was awesome. And then afterwards, you got the bars you can go to and watch it at right there next to the stadium. I mean, for that to happen too, there would need to be the Bears hosting the game. That would require San Fran to win, which we'll find out later tonight if they're able to overcome that Seattle defense. But nonetheless, we really just need to find a way to win this game, because it will be so fun. I don't care. Like I said, Game Time, if you guys are out there, we're not sponsored by anybody. We ain't big enough, but go look at Game Time. That's where you can find those tickets. And I'm telling you, they'll start off high and you'll see them drop a lot of money. So that's definitely, if you're a fan out there wanting to find seats to a game, even if you want to go tomorrow last minute, I'm telling you, check tomorrow. If you live in the Chicago area, check in the morning. Those ticket prices will drop all day to get into that game. But it's a big one coming up. Let's hop into it, though. Let's head into our score predictions in this game. And let's also hop into our MVPs of this game. I'll let you kick it off like always.
Oh, I got to pick Caleb Williams, my offensive MVP. And I'm riding my hot hand of Austin Booker.
All right. And your score? What's the score?
I'm scared. I'm so scared. 21-17 Bears.
Wow. It's pretty low scoring, but the wind definitely will play a factor. It'll just be interesting to see how fast these offenses can get off to a start. I am going to go with my score prediction. Bears 31, Rams 24. I think this Bears offense continues. I mean, brother, they put up 31 points and scored 3 points in the first half last week. This Bears team can put up a lot of points if they figure out how to play a complete game. I think, like you said, I won't double down with the Caleb Williams MVP, but I expect him to have another great game. This guy loves pressure. It's sick. He's sick in the head how he just thrives when most people would crumble. And I think he's going to have a big game. I'm going to go with my guy, Luther Burden, in this game. I love me some Luther Burden last week. You know, he had some miscommunication, ran the wrong route, caused an interception. I think with this Rams secondary struggling, I can see Luther kind of having some gadget plays in this game. I'm going with Luther Burden as my MVP. And for my defensive MVP, I'm going with Kyler Gordon. I thought towards the second half of that game last week, he started to play a lot more stickier coverage, was the Kyler Gordon we saw. I think Kyler Gordon's going to have a sack in this game, and I think he's going to have a takeaway as well. So I'm going to go with Kyler Gordon. I think he's going to I love me some Kyler Gordon. Just stay healthy, man. Keep your body warm as you can and stay healthy. That's all I ask, man, because if he can stay healthy, Kyler Gordon is absolutely lethal. But we will ultimately see what ends up happening tomorrow, but I think we're in for a good one.
I mean, whether we're in for a good one or not is, I think that maybe is an understatement. I mean, we've been for in a great season. Like, I don't know. I mean, we guess on what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, if I knew, I probably would just gamble, but I don't know, so I don't gamble. It's just been a wild ride. What a season, right? I mean, here we are talking about the divisional round, Bears in the playoffs. Most people didn't believe. You know, the Vegas books had them, winning 9, I think it was. And, you know, here we are. We're riding into – and we have home field advantage as the 2 seed and potentially having the home field advantage for the NFC Championship game. So it's been a phenomenal season. What a season it's been for these Bears.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a phenomenal season. We've definitely overachieved, but you got to take care. You got to capitalize on the moment. You never know what could happen. So it'd be awesome to see them continue another week and there'll be a Final Four team, which coming into the year, people would have laughed at us if we said that, but it's going to be a tough one. But like I said, you take out these Rams, I think they're the strongest team left in that NFC. The Bears can find a way to take them down. I mean, it will start getting scary. And I don't even want to think of the thought of the Bears being in the Super Bowl. Dad, would you rather have the Bears win this game, or would you rather have the Bears win this game and lose the NFC Championship, or the Bears go to the Super Bowl and lose the Super Bowl? I mean, if the Bears lose the Super Bowl and we get there and just lose, it will be sickening.
You know what? I would rather have them get to the Super Bowl, because I know you said they would lose, but with this team and as many late comebacks that they have, it would either be the most craziest game ever. Like, it would be one for the like children's children will talk about this game if they make it to the Super Bowl and some sort of fourth quarter comeback, but maybe we fall short. Maybe it's an interception or whatever it is at the very last pass. But nonetheless, it would be awesome. I mean, it would hurt, like, to get there and lose, and then ultimately not know what's going to happen the following year, because obviously our draft status has kind of changed on what we got to do now with Trapillo being out, and when we really wanted to focus on the defense. But it'd be awesome.
It would be awesome, but got to take care of business of the Rams first before we can start having some hypotheticals. But I think that'll close us out for here. I think it was a pretty good sum up of the matchup of what's to come. Hopefully we're on here the following day or tomorrow night with a post-game victory show. It would be awesome, man. We got some people out there that are some Rams fans, and some people in particular that have doubted us. Not only us on the podcast, but have doubted our Bears, and it would be sweet if the Bears can find a way to pull this one out.
You know what's funny? Awesome. They haven't said nothing since about week 3.
Oh, I know. And if the Rams win tomorrow, we'll hear nonstop.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's easy hilarious to come out of the closet when the success is happening, but we're bold enough out here to believe in our Bears from day one to up until now. So it'll be funny if they come out talking afterwards. But nonetheless, we're in for a good game, I think. Hopefully we're not down to the wire, but I will say if it comes down to the wire and the Bears have that ball, I will have full faith in this Bears team. Caleb thrives. This Bears offense, Ben Johnson, they all seem to thrive when the stakes are at the highest. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. It should absolutely be a fun one. But we will catch you on the post-game show tomorrow, whether a win or a loss. But until then, Bear
down.
down.